So I'll be talking on heritage for urban development, experiences and challenges from African cities. But specifically, I'll be talking on Nigeria, because I focused my research on Nigeria. And I understand that it's about just 20 minutes, but I don't know. I will try to, but then I may exceed 20 minutes. So, uh, okay. So before then, I would just like to bring define some of the keywords in this study. Some we may all be very familiar with. The first one I would like to define is the heritage. From the dictionary meaning, it says that it's the well asset inherited from the past that shape a city's identity, including structures, artifacts, tradition, customs, and knowledge. Well, in this context, is viewed as a dynamic resource. So many times we view uh, heritage as static, as relics, but here we need to begin to see it as a dynamic resource. Then urbanization, it is the increase in the proportion of people living in town and city. That is, people moving from the rural area and moving to urban areas for better living. And of course, in Nigeria, it is very, very rapid and uncontrolled. While urban development is the planning, design, and construction of cities, including the infrastructure, housing, economic, and all the activities. With urban expansion, it comes with two things. It comes with threats and it comes with uh, opportunities. So there is also the threat to uh, historical sites, while the opportunity it brings is for sustainable growth through the heritage preservation. Heritage is key in Sustainable Development Goal 11. So it's a driver for sustainable development. Goal 11 states that sustainable cities is on sustainable cities and communities. That is making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. And specifically, target 11.4 talks about cultural and natural heritage, which it strengthens the effort to protect and safeguard the world's cultural, natural heritage. So urbanization plus heritage plus development, they are just one system. They are not to be separated because they form a single entity and they should be integrated system. So heritage should be viewed as, we should not be viewed as an obstacle to progress, but it is an asset, a strategic asset for creating sustainable cities. So what are these impacts that heritage has? It aligns with Sustainable Development Goal 11, as I've earlier said, which directly supports the goal of making cities resilient, inclusive, and safe. Another impact is its economic and social value because it enhances urban identity. It also boosts tourism and it fuels local creative economies. Also, another impact is its resilience and equity. When it is well managed and inclusively, heritage will become an instrument for social equity and preventing gentrification, which many cities are experiencing, and ensuring benefits are shared across the community. The Sorry, I'm not able to, just a minute. The central conflict. So what exactly is the central conflict? It comes with the challenge, which is the threat, and it comes with the opportunity. The first challenge is the rapid urbanization, where you have uncontrolled expansion and you have various infrastructure demands. And all this physically endanger historical sites. Another challenge that comes with it is the socio-economic pressure, where you have inadequate funding, you have poverty, and you have weak enforcement that leaves many of these sites vulnerable to decay. So the opportunity, which becomes the resource now, is an economic engine where you have a resource for tourism. It creates, job, and there's economic diversification. Then another opportunity is the resilience identity, where it uh, it calls for leveraging culture and history to foster community pride and create inclusive, cultural, vibrant cities. So what exactly is the conflict if all these things are? It results to a constant tension between the impulse to preserve this past and the pressure to, continually build the future. So the two of them are, they must conflict, but there is a way out of it. So this research, the aim is to, move beyond simply identifying threats and investigate effective on-the-ground strategy for integration. So what is the core research question? The question asked is, how can Nigerian cities effectively balance preservation with progress to achieve sustainable urban futures by transforming heritage from a static relic to a dynamic resource? Data was collected, of course, through the secondary sources to build a robust evidence. And this is because, Nigeria is so wide, and traveling, up and down to collect data was a bit difficult. So I based most of my findings from the secondary data. So it's the research designed a comparative approach, and three cities were selected, purposefully selected in Nigeria. These cities are, number one is the Lagos, because it's a mega city and it represents the pressure from rapid and modern development. The second city selected was Kano. It's a historical city, and it also represents challenges to traditional fabric. Then the third city is Calabar, the coastal city. And Calabar represents dual indigenous or colonial heritage, and as well as tourism. So why were these cities selected? The cities, of course, they all face these urban challenges, and from these challenges, whatever results can be, generalized to other cities. The first city, Lagos, is a mega city, like I earlier said, and it's a modernized city, and it has a fragmented colonial and indigenous architecture. So what is the key challenge there? It has hyper development pressure, balancing preservation against massive infrastructural needs. So because there's so much need, it affects, of course, the heritage. Secondly is Kano. Kano is traditional and more of religious. It's a historical center. Then they have, Kano has this wall round the city, and their architecture is traditional Hausa architecture. At the moment, the challenge is the strain, socioeconomic strain. Managing ancient sites means high population growth and limited resources. The third city selected is Calabar, which I said earlier on has two dual purposes. The dual heritage tourism is also tourism focused. This city blends the ethnic indigenous culture and colonial administrative history. The challenge it's currently having is the economic integration, leveraging heritage as the primary tool for tourism and economic uh, diversification. So I'm going to take the cities one after the other. That's why I said maybe the 20 minutes might not do, but then I'll take the city one after the other. Firstly, I'm going to talk on Lagos. Lagos is a mega city. What are the heritage experiences? Most of the heritage buildings are from those that were built or constructed in the 19th century. It has multiple historical periods where we have the Brazilian quarters, we have the colonial buildings, we have the Atlantic trade and colonial administration. So Lagos has the Brazilian quarters, and this was, built from in the 1830s. Then you have the colonial era architecture, and also dates from 1861 into the 19th and early 20th century. Then you have the Afro-Brazilian or Afro-Atlantic urban forms, which were developed in the 1800s to the 19th century. And this, they had their, the streetscape, they had their facade, they had their doorways, veranda, and the use of various building methods. So it has fragmented heritage, which has to do with colonial and post-colonial layers. And the images you are seeing, they are still existing. Although these were got from the internet, but they are still existing as they are. The first one on the left is the Lagos Afro-Brazilian quarter, characterized by architecture from the descendants of freed slaves. Most of these buildings are facing disappearance of the structures because of this urbanization we're talking about. The first on the right on top is the half-room Afro-Brazilian house in the city of Ekpe. Ekpe is like about 45 minutes away from Lagos. Then we have the dilapidated Afro-Brazilian style building, and it's still in Lagos, located in the Brazilian quarter. In the image in the middle below, you can see that it has even been demolished. They call it the Ilojaba. It's located at the Tinubu Square, and it was a hub for community social scene. And right now, you can see what has happened to it. Then we have this mosque, they call it Shitabe Mosque. It was built in 1892. So what are these challenges? Number one, you have the uncontrolled urban expansion. I wouldn't want to speak too much on them. I'll just highlight them because of time. Then secondly, you have the property speculation and commercial focus. Thirdly, you have another challenge is the physical and environmental threats. Then number four, you have the financial and regulatory conflict. And then you have the social and planning issues. So what are these solutions to all this? And what are the, strategies? What are the strategies? Number one is the adaptive reuse. Sorry, I'm just checking the questions, the chat. Number
Sorry,
one.
can I just quickly, somebody has their WhatsApp open. Maybe they can close it because we can hear every time you get a message.
Okay. Sorry. So solutions or strategies. Number one, which is the core solution, is the adaptive reuse. Adaptive reuse is a crucial method for transforming historic, historic buildings into the modern buildings, into modern uh, buildings, and still functioning and maintaining the cultural and historical significance. So they can change the use of this building, but this building must still maintain the cultural and historical significance. That is, you convert the obsolete heritage buildings into functional assets while retaining the cultural integrity. Secondly is the historic urban landscape framework, where you have a shift conservation focus from individual monuments to the entire heritage and historic urban landscape, viewing them as living cultural ecological system. Thirdly is the circular economic principle. The circular economic principle promotes sustainable development by minimizing waste and conserving energy through adaptive reuse practices. So what exactly now is the way forward for Lagos? Number one is to establish a beneficial connection. The beneficial connection will it will help to preserve or strategize. The preservation strategy of Lagos should balance historical value with contemporary needs to ensure the vitality of this historical district over time. So it has to be a blend. It's not a time to, uh, erase the historical building or begin to remove them from the city, but to uh, blend them with the contemporary needs. Number two is the integrated management. A comprehensive system should be developed to address the competing needs of local residents, developers, and government representatives. They have to all work together in order to achieve this preservation we're talking about. Number three is the flexible reuse solution. The use of adaptable reuse method should replace traditional preservation technique as heritage sites serve as operational resources to meet the current needs. They need to check the current need and be able to blend into it. The case study 2 is Kano. Kano is in the northern part of Nigeria. What I did was to take one from the north, I took one from the south, and then I took a third case study from the east, so that there's a blend, balance.
Now,
So what are the heritage experiences in Kano? One is the Kano city walls. And locally they call it Ganuwa Kano. In those days, it was a wall built around the entire city. But when the British came, they pierced some of this wall. That was after 1903. The wall was actually built in the 11th or to 12th century, and British, after their conquest, they pierced into this wall. That means the heritage, of course, was obstructed. Then another heritage there is the Emir's Palace. It was built around 1463 to 1499 and is a core Kano's Islamic administrative and dynamic authority. Thirdly is the Islamic city design. They had their palace at the center of the city, and near this palace they have their the mosque. After the mosque, they now have markets radiating around the palace and this mosque and their residential quarters. Then the city was now enclosed by the wall. And the wall was actually a defensive wall, which signified their power and their identity. So the concept was that it's a traditional, Kano is a traditional Islamic city with the design and with the defensive wall. From the images you can see, this is the wall built in the 12th century. You can see on this in the second one, where the wall is being affected. Then, if you look at the map, you see that the wall is going around the entire city. As at the time it was built around the entire city, and at the middle was the Emir's Palace, and then other buildings were now, radiating, and then at the end of the day, the wall encircled the entire city. But of course, urbanization has the wall is still there, but with so many obstructions and all because of urbanization. You can see they have several gates leading into the city, that is through the wall. They have this gate, they have another gate, and so many other gates into the city. So what are these challenges? The main challenges they had, number one, was the lack of documentation and preservation in Kano. Then there's the conflict with modernization. Of course, like I earlier said, it's a core Islamic city. So with the modernization, it's definitely will hinder the heritage protection. Thirdly is the physical deterioration, where you saw in some of the images that I showed. Then number four is the competition from statutory rules. Then you have the outdated preservation method and the socioeconomic strain that it's caused. So what are the solutions and or the strategies to preserving their heritage? Number one is the integrated development and tourism, preserving the traditional structure, that is those walls, the palace. They need to be preserved because they serve the dual purpose of, security and, as their main Islamic seat. Historically safeguarding and for long-term economic development. Then secondly, the community-based, there has to be a community-based management, transforming the heritage management system to serve community requirements and focus on safeguarding the intangible heritage alongside community participation. You cannot achieve anything without the community participating. The community has to be involved because they have the story. The authenticity lies on the community because they know much about it. Then thirdly is the educational focus, implementing educational programs that will teach the urban planning students about local tradition to handle complex situation. So the local tradition should not be, erased. They have to be taught. So what are the way forward? Number one is the integrating management system. The local management system should be integrated into, a comprehensive heritage management framework to foster social cohesion. Secondly is the strategic alliance. The government must establish a strategic alliance with the indigenous institution to create an effective integrated heritage structure or framework. Then thirdly is the dynamic and flexible approach. The approach to heritage is dynamic and flexible. So acknowledging its continuous transformation through social, political, cultural elements, and balancing development with heritage protection is very, very is crucial. Tourism and colonial legacy. So what are those experiences, heritage experiences in Calabar? You have the old Calabar. It was built in the 1780s to early 90s, 1900. Then there's the Hope Wandel Training Institute, 1895. You have the Chief Ekpo House, 1880 to 1900. Then you have the Mary's Lesser Mission Site, built in 1876. You have the Efik Royal Palace and Shrine, built in the 15th to 18th century. Then you have the NCBD or Ekpe Cultural Landscape from 1800 to the mid-19th. So the peculiarity is the dual heritage. That is, they have the cultural sites, which unites their traditional Efik custom. And secondly is their tourism as identity driver. So they have a lot of tourism potentials. Then these are the images from the Calabar case study. You have the colonial house in Calabar. You have the old consulate in Calabar, Cross River State. You have the Mary's Lesser House also in Calabar. Then you have the Efik people displaying their heritage. So what are the challenges with the Calabar, heritage? There's the risk of commodification. That is the uncontrolled expansion of tourism. It leads to the cultural commercialization, which damages authenticity and risks creating social conflict. So in the commercializing their tourism, indirectly or somehow, they may damage the originality of whatever heritage that they have. Then secondly is the social imbalance. The dual heritage, which drives economic growth, can also lead to social imbalances among the different population groups. So in this case, it's not everyone that will benefit equally, which may cause, chaos, may cause, trouble. Then thirdly is the management equilibrium. The long-term sustainability of heritage tourism relies on striking a balance between tourist influx and the preservation of local cultural heritage and sites. So it has to balance. It should not be a concentration of just tourism alone. Even what the people are coming to see, are they preserved? It's not about just the intangible. The tangible is also very, very important. So what are the solutions, or what are the strategies for the heritage preservation? Number one is the inclusive approach, implementing inclusive approaches that center local perspectives and distribute benefits equitably to prevent the negative consequences of excessive tourism. So they all have to be on the same page. Otherwise, it's going to cause, there will be, consequences. Number two is the local participation. Involving local residents in heritage management and tourism development provides them with direct economic advantage, supporting the community well-being and preventing social inequality. So when you involve them from the onset, it prevents a lot of chaos at the end of the day. Number three is to focus on intangible heritage. Ongoing assessment should focus on how ethnic, oral tradition, and performing arts affect the city's unique identity and visitors' appeal. So there has to be a blend of both the tangible and intangible and how it is affecting the city. So what is the way forward? Number one is the optimal management. Sustainable heritage tourism requires proper management, of course, that distribute tourism revenue equally between economic development and cultural preservation. Secondly is the place attachment. Achieving equilibrium depends on understanding the place attachment, that is dependence and sense of belonging. It serves as a vital sustainability metric for heritage tourism. Thirdly is the educational and participatory cycle. Educational program combined with accessible heritage sites strengthens civic pride and even responsibility, turning residents into dedicated defenders of their heritage. Once they are educated and once they are participating, they will defend, their heritage and create a positive cycle between tourism and the community health. So, what the discussion from all this, number one, Lagos, from the findings, stresses the need to view heritage as an economic asset and advocating for adaptive conversion rather than mere preservation for sustainability. Must preserve for economic, it will serve as economic asset, and there must be adaptive reuse in order not to, for the heritage to be pushed aside. Then in Kano, there should be a grassroots strategy that links the upkeep of the city's infrastructure to the social and economic needs of its changing community. So the entire community has to be involved. The local people have to be educated. They have to know that things are changing. Things are no more the way they used to be. There has to be a blend of all this. Then for the Calabar, it shows how heritage can stimulate economic development. Yes, from it, they're able to, still carry out their tourism activities, and they are still able to preserve their heritage. So there should be an emphasis on importance of effective management to preserve that, the authenticity and ensure their benefits distribution. So what are the key challenges to preserving heritage in Nigeria cities? Number one is the policy and legal gaps. There is the fragmented, outdated laws that need to align with the current urban development plans. Then secondly is the economic constraint. There is the insufficient public funding and lack of sustainable revenue mechanism. And this has prevented long-term maintenance and proper conservation. Thirdly is the social environmental pressure. With the rapid urbanization and climate change, it has placed a severe strain on vulnerable, sites. Then the fourth one is the lack of integrated planning. Heritage is not embedded in a broader sustainable development strategy. Limiting community participation and innovation like adaptive reuse is what is there, but there has to now be like an adaptive reuse. So the new paradigm, what exactly is the new paradigm for urban heritage in Nigeria? We have said earlier on that it is moving from static to dynamic conservation. So heritage should be repositioned as a living, evolving resource that contributes to urban resilience. Secondly, integration of heritage laws with urban planning ensures predictive and protective governance. And this will reduce vulnerability to climate and human-induced threats. Thirdly, adaptive management turns heritage sites into economic and social assets, supporting sustainable tourism and green investment. The role of technology, of course, is also important. The building information modeling and the GIS enable 3D modeling, real-time monitoring. It will enable the real-time monitoring and participatory decision making. Then there should be digital registries and smart grid system to enhance resilient revenue generation and community engagement. So towards a new paradigm for urban management, what are those actionable strategies for a sustainable future? Number one is the unified policy. It should be laws, the fragmented law should be consolidated and it should align with heritage legislation, with urban planning, especially with our goal 11 target 11.4 of the Sustainable Development Goals. And when you do this, you ensure that there's legal enforcement and planning. There should be, so that there's an enforcement and people are able to follow this policy. Number two is the second strategy is the sustainable financing. There must be promotion of public-private partnership and dedicated revenue reinvestment scheme. This will help to secure long-term, funding. Thirdly is the community focus. You should empower residents through participatory governance and educational program. They must be involved. They must be educated. They must know what exactly is happening. Then the fourth strategy, actionable strategy, is the climate resilience. Integrate climate adaptation and resilience measure into all conservation plan. It is not when there are issues that you begin to think of a solution. This should be ahead of time. Then number five is transparency and monitoring. There has to be an establishment of interagency coordination platform and implement public dashboards to track conservation metric. So policy implementation and recommendation. Number one is the Unified Heritage Law. Align the law or legislation with the urban planning. And urban planners also have to work with the other allied professionals. Number two is the adaptive reuse and circular economy, that is converts historic building into revenue generating asset while reducing waste and environmental impact. Thirdly is the participatory governance, where I said the locals should also be involved. Then number four is the technology integration, leverage BIM and GIS, another digital heritage registry for monitoring and data-driven management. So in conclusion, Nigerian urban heritage can evolve from vulnerability to a dynamic force, supporting sustainable development, economic growth, and civic pride. Secondly, integrated framework combining policy, community participation, and technology are very important. So what are the key takeaways from this now? Number one is that heritage management in Nigeria must be holistic, participatory, and technology-driven to create resilient and inclusive cities. Secondly, integrating heritage, urbanization, and development creates a single, sustainable, and inclusive system. Thirdly, a weak legal and financial structure leaves valuable heritage exposed to relentless urban and climate pressure. Okay. Number four, there should be a shift from passive protection to active. Integrated management that is legally sound, financially resilient, and community centered. Thank you very much.